If you think a penny is just a penny, then think again, because the 1964 Lincoln penny is more than just a small piece of copper. It carries hidden stories, historical value, and in some cases it could be worth far more than its face value. Stay tuned, because what you are about to learn might just change the way you look at the coins in your pocket forever. The story of the 1964 Lincoln penny begins with the rich tradition of American coinage and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln, who has appeared on the United States 1-cent coin since 1909, the year that marked the 100th anniversary of his birth. The Lincoln cent was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it became one of the most iconic coins in United States history. Its obverse features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing, right with the inscriptions, "Liberty the date of mintage," and the motto, "In God We Trust." The reverse from 1959 to 2008 carried the Lincoln Memorial design by Frank Gasparo, which replaced the earlier wheat ears design that had been used from 1909 to 1958. The year 1964 was an important time in the history of United States coinage. America was in the midst of social and political change. The coin shortage of the early 1960s had caused significant strain on the economy, and the United States Mint was working overtime to meet the growing demand for coinage. President Lyndon B Johnson had recently taken office after the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963, and the Mint was not only under pressure to produce enough coins, but also to begin striking the first Kennedy half-dollars in 1964 as a national tribute to the fallen president. During this same period, the Lincoln penny continued to be struck in massive numbers in both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The 1964 penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, a traditional bronze alloy that had been used for many decades. These coins were struck in extremely large numbers, with billions produced, which makes them very common in circulation. However, the true story of the 1964 penny is not just in its numbers, but in the historical context of the time and the details of its design, composition, and production. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 2,648 Lincoln pennies in 1964, while the Denver Mint produced more than 3,699,000 pieces, bringing the total mintage to more than 6.4 billion coins. This was one of the highest mintages for any 1-cent coin in history at the time, and it was necessary to help solve the ongoing coin shortage, which had been blamed in part on coin collectors pulling large quantities of coins from circulation. Collectors at the time were eager to hoard coins with mint marks, unusual designs, or simply newly released coins. The Mint had even suspended the use of mint marks in 1965 through 1967 to discourage this behavior. But in 1964, both Philadelphia and Denver pennies carried their respective marks, or the absence thereof, with the Denver Mint pieces being identified by the small d mint mark, located just below the date on the obverse. The design of the 1964 penny remained unchanged from the Lincoln Memorial reverse introduced in 1959. This reverse design was significant because it not only honored Lincoln with the portrait on the front, but also depicted the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. on the back. This was the first time in United States coinage history that the same individual was honored on both sides of a circulating coin in the center of the memorial between its columns. If one looked closely, the statue of Lincoln could be seen engraved in tiny detail, which was an extraordinary achievement for the time. The 1964 penny was a workhorse coin intended for everyday use. It circulated heavily in commerce, and for most people it carried only the value of 1 cent. Yet collectors today recognize that certain varieties and errors from 1964 can carry significant premiums. Double die obverse coins, for example, where the date or lettering appears doubled due to a misalignment in the hubbing process, are among the most sought after. Such doubled dies can show strong doubling. Doubled dies can show strong doubling on the date. The motto, "In God We Trust," or the word liberty, and collectors are willing to pay high prices depending on the strength of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Another area of interest for collectors is the condition of the coin. Because billions were produced, most circulated heavily and show wear. However, coins that were carefully preserved especially those graded in mint state red by professional grading services, are worth significantly more. The color designation, red, brown, or brown, plays a major role in the value of copper coins. Red coins that retain their full original copper luster are the most desirable since copper tends to tone and darken over time. Proof versions of the 1964 penny were also struck at the Philadelphia Mint. These proof coins were specially made for collectors with polished dies and planchets, resulting in a mirror-like surface. About 3,950 7/62 proof sets were produced in 1964 and included the penny along with other denominations. These proof pennies are more valuable than their circulation strike counterparts, and they often exhibit sharp detail and attractive surfaces, cameo and deep cameo contrasts on proof coins can command even higher prices among collectors. The historical significance of the 1964 penny extends beyond its numismatic value. It was a coin produced during a pivotal era in American history. The Civil Rights Movement was at its height. President Johnson had signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 into law that same year, and America was deeply involved in Cold War tensions with the Soviet Union. The coin in your hand, a simple 1-cent piece, was a silent witness to all these transformative events in American society. As time passed, the composition of the penny would eventually change in 1982, when the mint transitioned from the traditional bronze alloy to a predominantly zinc coin with only a thin copper plating. This means that the 1964 penny, along with all earlier issues, is part of the last generation of truly copper-based pennies, a fact that adds to its nostalgic and collectible appeal. When studying the value of the 1964 penny today, it is important to consider several factors, including its condition, its mint mark, whether it is a circulation strike or a proof, and whether it carries any rare variety or minting error. Circulated examples are generally only worth face value, but uncirculated red examples can range from a few dollars to much higher amounts depending on grade error. Coins and proof varieties can be worth hundreds or even thousands in exceptional cases. The story of the 1964 Lincoln penny, therefore, is not just about a coin, but about history, culture, and the passage of time. It connects us to the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, to the artistry of American coin design, to the economic challenges of the 1960s, and to the personal stories of collectors who pulled shiny new pennies from their pocket change and decided to save them for the future. This coin stands as a reminder that even the smallest denomination in our currency system can hold immense significance when studied carefully. Every scratch, every shine, every mint mark tells a story, and the 1964 penny continues to capture the attention of collectors, historians, and everyday people who are fascinated by the simple beauty of American coinage.